Hi, folks. With Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about when did it start? When did Western politicians begin talking about how mass migration was going to make sure that there was no white majority country anywhere in the world? Nowhere in the world would there be white majority. Wherever there was white majority currently, the United States, Britain, Australia, and so on, wherever there was white majority, it had to be crushed. It had to be, the white people had to be replaced. The white people had to be in a minority in the white countries. Now, it didn't apply to any other country. For example, did Indian people have to be the minority in India, or Chinese people the minority in China, or black people the minority in Africa? No. It was only white countries. And it was white politicians that were talking about enacting this. Now, if we look at the early part of President Bill Clinton, that wasn't really, he wasn't talking about that sort of stuff. Some of the things he was talking about, you could kind of see was maybe he was shifting to the globalist playbook and the globalist script, but you wouldn't say at all. He was more talking about, we're not going to let illegal aliens come in. If there are illegals in here, we're going to kick them out, and jobs for Americans, and it was that sort of stuff in the earlier part. And then, I don't know, when would it have been? Shortly after he was re-elected as president, it then started to change, and he was going around to gatherings of black activists. He was going to leftist universities and talking to, the gender studies kids and all that sort of stuff, and attending some LGBTQ thing, or gay, lesbian as it would have been then, and it was there that he started to talk about this. And the media didn't really cover it. You won't find much really, and if the media did cover it, they kind of didn't mention it. They didn't condemn it or denounce it and say, "Hey, the president of a nation of white people is saying he's going to get rid of all the white people and make sure there's only brown and black." Surely that would have been a screaming headline. But already the media was on board with the globalist project, and so they could have gone full on hysterical nuclear on this because it was worthy of that. What the president of the United States just said, they're going to replace the white people, and that's a good thing. I mean, seriously. So they're screaming headlines. So Clinton was saying that in the bigger states like New York and California, white people will be in a minority before 2020. And in the United States overall, white people will be a minority by 2050. And now, when he made this announcement, he didn't say it as if it was an aspirational goal, or maybe it will, or there's going to be some natural organic forces at work here or something. No, he was stating it as if it was a plan. If you listen to it, he's saying, this is the plan. This is what's been agreed to. This is what's going to happen. This is what we're going to implement. This is what we will force on the populace, whether they fucking like it or not. So that was the tone, as I read it. That was the tone of the messaging. Now, the thing is that he was getting, instead of an intake of breath and screams of cries, "What are you doing, you damn traitor? The American people, the white people elected you as their president, not president for some globalist cabal and replace the white people with brown." Instead, he got rapturous applause. We're like, "Way, white people are minority, yeah, whoa, social progress, blah, 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 blah." So already there was a women's group who were applauding it. The university kids, who was the camera panned, that I got the impression that they were mostly female and mostly sociology-looking kids, but and there was no doubt agitators in the crowd to gin up the applause and so on. Black people, he addressed some black thing, some black meeting or gathering or whatever, and they'd go in rapturous applause. I'm not sure how well he'd have gone sort of putting that message out in, I don't know, Iowa or something like that, in a 99% white neighborhood. I don't think that would have gone down so well. But he stuck to people who would be folks who would be more likely to be sympathetic or completely on board with it. So a lot of people already, and this is in the 1990s, remember, there are a lot of people who are on board already. So you could probably say that, the black population of 12% or whatever, and gay lesbians and this sort of thing, they probably had something in the order of 16 or 17% of the population who were thinking, hey, this is great, white people in the minority, yeah, we can have all these third world peasants, all the rapes, all the thievery, all the mayhem that comes with it, and this is fantastic, we just want more. So were they just ideologically sort of predisposed and they had no idea what they were sleepwalking into, or what? I don't know. But Clinton was only going to the places that would applaud this sort of thing, or could be duped into applauding it. Now, at around the same time, the British government, Prime Minister Tony Blair, was sort of talking along the same lines and then going to the same sort of places to spread the message. And there was, in Australia, they pitched it a little bit differently. They said, hey, we've got this incredible shortage of skills. We've got no skills here. We've got nobody who knows what to do about anything. We can't even take a shit at the moment. Haven't got the skills. We have to bring in skills. And so they pitched it slightly differently, but they assured us to calm a nervous population. No, I'd like people to speak excellent English. Excellent, absolutely excellent. People who've got doctors, scientists, triple PhDs. We're going to bring in the best of the best, the highest skilled people. And instead, they were just bringing in illiterate third world fucking IQ 70 peasants by the fuckload, and many of them still here today. So it was happening almost simultaneously all across the Western world, maybe at different rates and speeds and different, but it was happening all at once. So pretty much the entire script from the globalist cabal landed at around the same time all across the Western world, and third world people started to come into the West in large numbers. Now, the numbers at first were relatively small, really, if you consider how it later became. The American sort of immigration system, in terms of frontline immigration, didn't really change that much in terms of actual numbers, but how they beefed it up was, going crazy on chain migration and on H-1B type equivalents and approximations. It was that brought the people in. It wasn't H-1B back in those days, but it was called something else. And then the huge numbers began with illegal migration, and the numbers weren't huge during Clinton's term. They started to pick up pace, like with Bush, and then into the Obama years, and of course, going absolutely nuclear. Well, but the last 4 years of Biden, where some more than 10 million illegals came in 4 years. I mean, for goodness sakes. But this was clearly a plan. And if you go back and listen to the speeches and the utterances they were making, the talking points were the same, like Biden and a few years later, sitting next to that Alejandro Mayorkas grifter, was saying the same thing. White people will be a minority. It's good. It's so good. It's so wonderful. White people minority. Yeah. How it's good, why it's good, what benefit it'll deliver, nobody knows, and no one says, no one can say. Every metric you could look at would say it's worse by making white people a minority, whether it be in a district, a town, a city, a state, or country, or whatever. But the talking point, in fact, if you listen to the Bill Clinton speeches, plural, in 97 or somewhere around there, 98, that sort of thing, and then you listen to Biden 10 years later talking about it, it's the same talking point, same speech, same, they're reading off exactly the same script, as indeed was Tony Blair in Britain and others around at the time, some of the French politicians and so on. Clearly, it was centrally scripted, coordinated by the globalist cabal. The United Nations gave it their blessing. What a wonderful thing it was. Why it's going to be a good thing that there's no white majority countries in the world, again, no one's been able to explain. But this suggests, or doesn't suggest, it almost clearly lays out that this has been a plan that goes back, well before the 1990s. They thought the time was right to drop it in at that moment. But this has been around for a while. Now, whether you want to look at it as the Jewish Kalergi plan or something else, it doesn't really matter. But that it was a coordinated international plan that no majority white country must remain, and we've got to do it as quickly as we can. We've got to get rid of any white majority country. And Trump's election in 2016 stuffed up the plans they had for the United States. So they decided to really, really go nuclear during Biden's term. thinking that there's no way Trump would win a second term. But now their plans are well and truly fucked up. Doesn't mean they're giving up on it, far from it. In fact, in other countries like Australia and Britain, they've ginned it up. So to compensate for the lack of progress in the US, they've ginned it up. Something like 500,000 people, 500,000 third worlders are being brought into Australia every fucking year at the moment. This is in a population of 26, 27 million, for goodness sakes. And over 1 million in Britain. Big numbers going into Europe and France and all that sort of thing. So this is where they've lost traction and momentum in the United States. They're just trying to pick it up in Canada and Britain, Australia, and elsewhere. But they're quite focused and determined, one way or another, fair means or foul, trickery or treachery, deceit and lies, to make sure there is no white majority country. The globalists want this, and they're very determined to have it. They're laser focused on it, and so far they're succeeding. Being Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for listening.